Well, good morning. I'd like to welcome you all to our MAG Transportation Policy Committee, and this meeting is now called to order. Those of you around the table, which are not many, please turn on your microphone when speaking, so particularly those who are on the phone can hear you. For those who are participating on Zoom, please remember to unmute your device before speaking and mute when you're not speaking. Phone participants should use a *6 to mute, unmute, and a *9 to raise your hand. Staff will be paying attention and make sure that we see you. The MAG public comment process provides opportunity for members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda that also fall under MAG's jurisdiction. And these opportunities are provided for public comment, including call to the audience, consent agenda, and action items to be heard. MAG also provides an opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website prior to the meeting, as long as comments are received at least 1 hour prior to the posted start time for the meeting. It's my understanding that we have no one here that is planning on filling out a request to speak card. Also, those of us here, remember to validate your ticket. Parking validators are available on the information table in the hallway. For those who purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Let's now start with a roll call of our members. Linda.
Thank you, Chair. When I call your name, please indicate your record. Rock Arnett.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Barney.
Present.
Thank you. David Barry. Jen Daniels.
Here.
Thank you. Doug DeCluson.
Present.
Thank you. Tom Durham, council member.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Gallego. Mayor Giles.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Hall.
I'm here.
Thank you. Charles Hulemantel.
Present.
Thank you. Vice President Leonard. Cheryl Lombard. Eric Osborne, Mayor Eric Osborne. Mayor Peterson. Mayor.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Price.
Here.
Thank you. Mark Reardon. Supervisor Sellers.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stipp.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Wires. Mayor Weiss. And Mayor Woods. Chair, we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And I'm here too.
And yes.
Next, would you join me with our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next section is a call to the audience. And is there anyone here who would like to address us? Seeing none. I do understand we have one speaker card, and Linda, if you would please read that.
Thank you, Chair. This is from Marcus Schmidt, a resident of the city of Phoenix. Start of comment. Good morning, honorable members of the MAG Transportation Policy Committee. I'm here to express my grave concerns and strong disappointment in Valley Metro's proposed transit service changes for this October. Without getting into its details, I can say that there appear to be about as many service improvements as service reductions throughout the valley for a net zero gain. This comes as a tremendous surprise to me, given that the county has already received millions of dollars of COVID relief funds earmarked for public transportation, and that hundreds of millions are promised under the Federal Infrastructure Investment Act. If the citizens of Maricopa County don't see these funds being put to use in the areas they were designated for, their confidence that any future tax increases earmarked for transportation would actually translate into noticeable transportation improvements would be eroded. Thus, the probability that our momentum passes would be reduced and would likely fail, which would be a travesty for this area. Therefore, I strongly urge you to work with Valley Metro to ensure that all federal funding earmarked for public transportation and all other funding sources are properly incorporated into the planning of bus, light rail, and paratransit services, and that they revise the proposed service changes to provide the service expansions this county desperately needs, especially given the rapid population growth, the many large businesses relocating to the valley, and the unwinding of most COVID-related restrictions. End comment.
Thank you, Linda. On our agenda is item number 4, approval of consent agenda. This includes items 4A through 4D. Does any member of the committee have questions or request a presentation on any of the consent items? None live. Are there any online? Hearing none. Are there any, I understand there is no calls to speak on this item present in this room and no additional cards as well. Is that still correct? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve consent items 4A through 4D?
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilmember Stipp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Supervisor Jack Sellers. If we could have a voice vote in this room, and then we'll do a roll call vote of those members participate virtually. Could I have a voice vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
say nay? Hearing none. Linda, will you also do a roll call vote of those participating virtually?
Thank you, Chair. When I call your name, please indicate how you vote. Mayor Barney,
Aye.
thank you. Board Member Daniels,
Aye.
thank you. Doug DeCluson,
Aye.
thank you. Council Member Durham,
Aye.
thank you. Mayor Giles,
Aye.
thank you. Mayor Hall,
Aye.
thank you. Charles Humantle,
Aye.
thank you. Mayor Peterson,
Aye.
thank you. Councilmember Schaefer,
Aye.
thank you. Is there anybody I have missed? The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Linda.
I was going to say, this is Mayor Woods. I also vote aye. I couldn't get off mute.
Thank you, Mayor Woods. Next on our agenda is item number 5, which is SR 347 Peters and Nall Road to I-10 Maricopa Scoping Study and Planning and Environmental Linkages, PEL. This will be presented by Tim Stroh, MAG Transportation Director. This item is on our agenda for action. Tim, AKA looks like Tony, go take it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Threw me off my game. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Policy Committee. Yes, Tony is my brother from another mother, so we'll move on from there. Happy to present to you today the results of the State Route 340 scoping study. My presentation will include, we'll walk you through a few planning slides to kind of show you where we came from. We'll talk about some of the highest rated strategies that came out of the study, touch on public involvement, and then wrap up with recommendations and the implementation plan for the study. Next slide, please. So the study started off in 2019. It was funded by the City of Maricopa, MAG, and Pinal County. The goal of the study was to build stakeholder consensus around a corridor improvement plan, a vision for the corridor that we could take forward for future study, kind of like what is being done for the I-10 Wild Horse Pass study. The study also included a planning environmental linkages process, or PEL. The PEL process is intended to lay the groundwork for a more detailed NEPA process for future studies. And a stakeholder group was created to help lead this study that consisted of MAG, City of Maricopa, Pinal and Maricopa County, ADOT, FHWA, Auction Indian Community, and the Gila River Indian Community. Next slide, please. So this study area is pretty long. It's about 20 miles, the length of the corridor. It starts at Interstate 10 to the north and heads south to Peters and Nall Road at the southern end of the corridor. We broke this study area into 3 different segments. You have the Gila River Indian community on the north, the city of Maricopa in the middle, and then the Auction Indian community on the south. The State Route 347 corridor on the north end consists of 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction is divided by a dirt median. As you transition from the 347 across the Grick into the city of Maricopa, the roadway widens to 5 to 6 lanes through the city of Maricopa. And then as you leave city of Maricopa, the roadway narrows back down again to 2 lanes in each direction down by the Auction Indian community. So there's 3 different segments with 3 different needs through this section of the corridor. For those of you who are not aware, 347 is the direct route for residents working in the city of Maricopa, surrounding Pinal County, the Gila River Indian community to access the Phoenix metro area. There's a heavy morning commute heading north every morning from workers heading up, and vice versa in the evening, folks coming back down to the city of Maricopa and surrounding communities. There's been, for this study, we wanted to analyze not only the mainline corridor, but we also identified some of the major bottlenecks that exist along the corridor. The I-10 347 traffic interchange, Riggs Road, which I'm sure all of you have heard and read stories in the newspaper about backups, fatalities, unfortunately. A lot of congestion in that area. We have 2 T intersections at Cement Plant Access Road and Casablanca Road. And then there's spot improvements in the city of Maricopa. This section of the 347 in the morning and evening peak hours often sees level service F in the mornings, or D or E. It's bad, it's congested. Picture I always make try to relate it to going north on I-17 to Flagstaff and then add a few traffic signals along the way. That's kind of the traffic congestion you would experience. Next slide, please. So to start this process, a stakeholder workshop was held early in the planning process where the vision, goals, and objectives were identified, outlined for the study. The stakeholders recognized the need to accommodate forecasted growth, optimize travel speeds and associated travel time, and improve safety. The vision statement identified by the stakeholders was to provide a reliable transportation corridor that supports economic development while minimizing environmental impacts. It was also recommended by the Gila River Indian community that the corridor improvement plan strategies maintain the current corridor easement to the greatest extent possible. Next slide, please. So having defined the corridor vision and goals for the study, reviewed opportunities and constraints, and previous recommendations from past studies, the stakeholders held a workshop that identified over 134 different corridor strategies through the 3 different segments. The universe of alternatives was then screened by the stakeholders at the workshop to narrow the list that best met the corridor vision and goals of the study. The resulting alternatives consisted of corridor strategies as well as spot improvements at key intersections. Next slide, please. So the highest ranked strategies that came out of the analysis and received the most support from the stakeholders was the traditional corridor widening to 6 lanes, the 6-lane Arizona Parkway concept with indirect left turn movements at signalized intersections, widening to include reversible lanes, a grade separation at Riggs Road, and other intersection spot improvements. Based on the 2040 modeling results, the reversible lanes and the Arizona Parkway concept improves travel time along the corridor by approximately 20 minutes. The reversible lanes beat out the Parkway concept by 2 minutes, but they're both very similar in as far as the savings time. The traditional widening only improved travel time by 10 minutes. Next slide, please. So to help the public and our stakeholders get a better understanding of what we are recommending for the corridor, we create some illustrations of the different concepts that we are moving forward. So for the traditional corridor widening and the Arizona Parkway, we would add 1 lane in each direction in the median. We'd also install a concrete barrier to eliminate crossover accidents in the future, and we build shoulders on both sides of the roads. The only variation in corridor design would be at the intersections where the left turn movements would be replaced by median U-turns for the Arizona Parkway concept. Next slide, please. So here's an illustration of the Arizona Parkway concept. As I said, it eliminates the left turn movements at signalized intersections and provides a median about 600 feet past the intersection for commuters to make U-turns to make that movement. As a result, the Arizona Parkway concept improves overall efficiency at all movements of the intersection and reduces total car crashes by the number of conflict points reduced from 32 to 16. Next slide, please. So like, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, with the heavy AM and PM commuter traffic, reversible lane concept was identified by the stakeholders and moved forward for one of the top 3 alternatives. We would add 2 lanes in the median that would be opened up during the morning peak hour. The 2 lanes would be heading northbound. This is similar to what's going to happen along the I-17 in the north. The reversible lanes in the middle would be divided by a concrete barrier. And then in the PM peak hour, the lanes would be reversed, allowing folks coming back down to the city of Maricopa and surrounding Pinal County to access those lanes. The reversible lanes would be, we'd create an overpass at intersections for those, but the outside lanes would still be at grade so commuters can access side roads. Next slide, please. So after we identified the highest ranked alternative strategies, we wanted to get the public's opinion on these alternatives. 2 public meetings were held, one at the city of Maricopa and one at the Auction community. We also created an online survey that was open for the duration of the study. We also worked with the Heel River Indian community on modifying the survey and redistributing it to the community in late 2020. We received over 272 responses. Next slide, please. In general, the survey responses confirmed that most of the travel occurs along State Route 347 is over a longer distance, with origins and destinations in the Phoenix metro area. Respondents also believe that while optimizing travel time is most important, safety is also a priority. The survey also indicates that most respondents are in favor of the indirect left turn movements, reversible lanes, and grade separations. When we asked the survey respondents to explain what they thought the greatest need was for the State Route 347 corridor, overwhelmingly the response was Riggs Road. Riggs Road overpass and adding additional lanes north of the city of Maricopa. Next slide, please. So after we finished with the analysis, coordinated with our stakeholder group and received public comment, the recommendation was to move forward with the 6-lane Arizona Parkway concept. Now, we're not gonna be able to accommodate the same recommendation for each of the 3 sections. So north of the city of Maricopa, across the Heel River Indian community, we would incorporate the 6-lane Arizona Parkway concept with indirect left turns that signalize the intersections. Through the city of Maricopa, since the city of Maricopa is primarily built out, city will identify future spot improvements where they can incorporate the Arizona Parkway concept. South of the city of Maricopa, across the Auction Indian community, the Auction Indian community asked us not to identify a recommendation at this time. They are in support of traditional widening and the Arizona Parkway concept, but they would like to see how the corridor develops in the future before making that recommendation. Next slide, please. So in addition to the recommended corridor improvements, the stakeholders recommended that we move forward with a diverging diamond interchange that was recommended as part of the ADOT I-10 Wild Horse Pass study for the I-10 347 traffic interchange. Like I said, grade separation at Riggs Road, I think that was a done deal before the project even started. Cement plant in Casablanca Road, those are T intersections where we'd incorporate the Arizona Parkway concept or high T. Next slide, please. So like I said, this study is a high-level scoping study meant to bring all the stakeholders together to rally around a vision for the corridor. We do have some funding identified for this corridor, which is great news. There's a lot of positive momentum occurring at this time. We have, if you see at the very top of the screen, the green circle, that is funding that we have identified in the current Prop 400 program. That project is part of the I-10 Wild Horse Pass project, so that will move forward. The light green is we identified funding in the Prop 400 extension investment plan for the section of 347 from I-10 down to Riggs Road. The section to the, and then you see the purple circle, Riggs Road, $35 million was appropriated last year from the state budget. That project is actually starting design and environmental right now, so that's heading in the right direction. Old Maricopa Road also was an existing project that was not a part of the study, but they're starting construction on that. I'm not sure what the status is, but they're moving forward with the high T intersection concept, that location. And then the PRTA identified $28 million previously as part of their sales tax plan. As you know, the Supreme Court ruled against that tax, ruled that it was invalid. And so when PRTA does go back to the voters in the future, monies will be programmed again for this section of 347. Next slide, please. So like I said, we have a lot of good momentum occurring along the corridor. A lot of improvements are needed. Some of the next steps for the study are that FHWA and ADOT have already shown their support for the study, and they have signed the Pell statement. At the conclusion of the MAG committee process, Mr. Anderson will sign the Pell, finalizing the document. Like I said, all stakeholders have been in support of this project and the recommendations moving forward. Mr. Chair, that completes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. In a room, are there any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair.
Mayor Price.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tim. After 8 years of being a member of MAG, I'm really appreciative to see an entire agenda that's dedicated to me. I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. So this has been a long awaited study. Oh my goodness. And you can see how hard it is to get all these stakeholders in a room to agree. Jack and I, when Jack was on the State Transportation Board, we deal with this on a regular basis. So I just can't say thank you enough to MAG, to Gila River, to Maricopa County, to Pinal County, and everybody involved in this. And so just as a way of an update on that, the PRTA is going to move towards recommendation back to the voters here this November. If that happens, then, what was struck down by the Supreme Court was the fact that we had a separated tax structure. And if that goes back into, the original tax structure, then it's estimated that $30 million allocated to this particular project would double into $60 million. So that's just a bigger benefit as we move towards, the cost of inflation and materials and everything else. So again, anything we can do to help move that forward. And the city of Maricopa has always also dedicated monies towards this project. And, while it's a pittance when you're looking at the total cost of the thing, it is still a big deal for us. So that's all I have to say at this time. But, when you're ready for a motion, Chair, I'd be happy to make it.
We'll see if someone sneaks in before you.
Thank you.
Any additional comments from the room? Supervisor Sellers.
Yeah, I will just mention that I drove State Route 347 both directions yesterday, and the traffic volume that's handling is absolutely incredible. I've known for a long time, and I've worked with Mayor Price a lot on this, that this is really an important corridor for our entire region. And so I'm anxious to see us continue to move forward.
20 years ago, I used to ride my bike to Maricopa for breakfast. I would not do that today.
No, don't do that now.
Are there any questions or comments online? Hearing and seeing none. Well, what is next is there a motion in order here?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Price.
And I'll second that.
Second by Supervisor Sellers. Let's take a voice vote here and then again, take a poll of those online. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Linda, please do the same online.
Thank you, Chair. When I call your name, please indicate how you vote. Mayor Barney.
Aye.
Thank you. Board Member Daniels. Doug DeCluson.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Durham.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Giles.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hall.
Aye.
Thank you. Charles Humantle.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Schaefer.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Woods.
Aye.
Thank you. And Chair, how do you vote?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is a legislative update. Nathan Pryor, MAG Policy and Government Relations Director. Welcome. Nathan here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Transportation Policy Committee. No surprise, today I'm going to focus on my discussion on enabling legislation for the continuation of the half-cent sales tax in Maricopa County. So first, I'm going to talk about where we stand with our current effort on Senate Bill 1356 and then move into discussion about some possible alternatives that we are exploring. So regarding 1356, obviously, that's our enabling legislation vehicle, has made it through the Senate with its emergency clause intact, has been sitting in the House for a number of months now. The reason why the emergency clause is important is getting the supermajority threshold enacts the legislation upon signature by the governor. Why is that important? Maricopa County needs to call the ballot in question. The timeline for that, the deadline for that is June 25th. So we are clearly right up against that date. A lot going on in the legislature behind the scenes regarding budget discussions and otherwise related to that. Of course, 1356 is pending discussion related to budget discussions. So with all that uncertainty, we are starting to explore alternatives. We had a discussion with the MAG Executive Committee on Monday regarding some flexibility and some options beyond November 2022. So those discussions with the Executive Committee, much of it was in e-session, so need to be careful about what is said and what is not said regarding that conversation. But suffice to say, again, we are looking at alternatives to call a ballot beyond November 22. So we are working with legal counsel and stakeholders to ensure that that's a good path for us. Eric Anderson, Audra Kessler-Thomas, John Bullen are ready, as myself, to talk about any questions related to this. But clearly with 1356, seemingly the path is diminishing for that opportunity, given the late stage of the legislative session, the vote counts necessary to meet that emergency clause threshold. Again, looking at alternatives now, when we identify a bill vehicle, move forward with that. Of course, we will let member agencies know, provide details about the language, and can provide summary information about what this flexibility does and what it means. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll pause. I'm sure there are some questions here, but again, difficult to talk about in an open meeting setting, given some of the sensitive nature, ongoing developments with legal counsel. But again, Mr. Chairman, I'll pause for any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Questions or comments in the room? Are there questions or comments online? Continue.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is the presentation for today. Again, looking at an option for flexibility beyond November 2022. Obviously, with that removal of the November 2022, if we do not pursue that any longer, 1356, no longer looking at the supermajority thresholds for passage. Perhaps that will kind of more provide an easier path, if you will. None of this is easy, but lowering that kind of that bar required for emergency threshold provides us again some flexibility beyond November 2022.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Item number 7 is a request by TPC members for a future agenda item. Are there any requests in the room? Seeing none, are there any requests online? All right, thank you. Item number 8, comments from the committee. Is there any comments from TPC members here in our room? Supervisor Sellers.
Mr. Chairman, this will be your last meeting serving as our chairman. So I have the honor of being able to present you with a small gift from the Maricopa Association of Governments for your service.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
We get a quick picture. Thank you.
And let me just say, let me add on to that, certainly this has been a challenging time to be chairman. And we all really appreciate how you've stayed focused on getting Prop 400 where we are today and all the meetings and and interactions you've had with legislators and others to try to get this across the finish line. Certainly running a beautiful city like Chandler at the same time that you were doing all this work is a very difficult task, but you've done an amazing job, and we really appreciate everything that you've done for Maricopa County and for our region. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor. It has been an honor and continues to be an honor to work for our region with MAG, and I will continue to do the same. All things moving ahead for me. So I look forward to continuing to serve our region. So, Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Harkey, members of the Transportation Policy Committee. Just a couple of comments. Mayor Harkey, you've done a great job as chair of this committee. Really appreciate your efforts. Brought home the final approval of Momentum 2050 in November when we took final action on that. And also you were key in helping us get the appropriation for I-10 widening. And I know you participated in the bill signing on that too. Major accomplishment. And looking forward to seeing that highway improved. It certainly will help all the residents in Central Arizona, no doubt about it. So thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So two other comments from me is to my left are the immediate left are two of probably the most energized transportation experts in the county. And we're in good hands with Supervisor Jack Sellers chairing this committee. And I know that we will further and all the work yet to be done with Prop 400. I have tremendous faith in Jack. Some of that is largely because his sheer intelligence of choosing where of all the places in the valley he could live, he chose wisely. Chandler. But also I also want to acknowledge Mayor Price, who is going to be going on to a new position. And I understand this is also going to be your last meeting with us. And I want to thank you for the tremendous work that you've done advocating and supporting transportation statewide. You have been a tireless proponent for Maricopa and the counties in which you serve. Your work with the league, your work with MAG has been impacting and powerful. And I personally want to thank you. Are there any comments from those online? Hearing none, that concludes our meeting. Wow, the online